Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Twists, a podcast where we like to talk about Around the Twist, an 80s, 90s, early 2000s television show from Australia aimed primarily at children. Whew, it's always an effort to get through that. I think I should probably reword that.
You probably should.
I probably should.
Yeah.
My name is Joe Lewis, and I'm joined by my co-host, as I am every week on this podcast, Anthony Bull.
Oh, hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
That is always good to hear.
Schmicko.
Schmicko.
Yeah.
Schmicky schmicko?
What?
I don't know.
My expression was weird enough. You didn't have to add extra.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
Schmick. Dogs go wacko for schmickos.
Well, that was kind of what I was going for.
Yeah,
I
I thought
think
that's what you were going for.
Yeah, it
All
didn't really
That's fine.
execute well. Today we're joined here to talk about Ice Maiden,
Yes.
the somethingth episode of season 2 of Around the Twist. Do you know what number episode this is? 9? 10?
No idea.
9. It's 9. The 9th episode of season 2.
Yeah.
Getting balls deep into the season here.
Yeah? Balls
Yes.
deep into the season? Balls deep? Is it true, Philly, honestly?
What?
Does that mean? What does balls deep mean?
Well, do I need to explain it?
Yeah, well, I mean, sure. I think I've had this discussion with people before, and
Okay, if you are... how do I say this politically correctly? If you are balls deep into... Now, look, I don't think this needs to be explained.
Well, it does need to be
No,
explained. What?
use your imagination.
Alright, yeah, I'm balls deep. It means I've got my soccer balls and I'm going into the goalie pit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what
Fine.
it means, right?
That's what it can mean then.
Yeah,
That's
what I
what
thought.
that's what it can mean.
It couldn't mean anything else, possibly.
Ice Maiden. Interesting episode. Any initial thoughts before we get into? A lot of ice puns in this. Not as many as that Batman movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the Iceman.
Yeah.
What is he called? Mr. Freeze?
Nice to see you. Cool party. Yeah.
Cool party.
Oh, killed the
Hello.
dinosaur. The
I
Ice
did.
Age. The Ice Age killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Actually, it was a comet or something, right?
A what?
Or a meteor. It was a comet or a meteor
Well,
that killed them.
A combination of both, probably. The comic calls it Ice Age.
Yeah.
Isn't
Okay.
that the thing?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
You know what caused the Ice Age?
Global warming?
Global freezing.
Global freezing.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Big deal in the 70s. Not anymore.
Yeah,
Now it's all global warming. What's going on, scientists?
Hello and welcome to Tales from the Conspiracy Theories. We're your hosts, Tinfoil Hat Man.
And Alex Jones.
Yes, and Alex Jones. No, if we're Alex Jones, this is Alex Jones! Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do his yelling voice.
Yeah, well, and also because none of our audience would get that.
Well, some of them would get it. They go, yeah.
It's Alex Jones.
It's Alex Jones.
I barely get that reference, and I made it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Well,
yells a lot.
I've
Like,
seen
he
it like
gets
2
mad.
seconds of the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ice Maiden. We start off every episode with a teaser scene to give us a bit of an idea of what's going on in the episode. And this week, we get Bronson wearing some sort of, I don't know, what would you call his hat? A short, narrow-brimmed cowboy hat?
Yeah, sort of.
He's eating an ice cream, some sort of, I don't know, boysenberry flavor or something.
Yeah, it was
One
strawberry,
Of
I thought it was.
the strawberry?
Because
Was
it's
it
like
supposed to be
strawberry
strawberry?
blonde.
It
There's a
could be
relation there.
strawberry.
The whole thing is, this whole episode had a lot of like tying in symbolism. I just realised it now. 'cause,
There's
like,
a lot of symbolism.
I'm reading into my notes, and I think I thought I was on the wrong page because I wrote Bronson eats the relative of an ice maiden, right? Which is that he eats an ice cream, which is essentially right in front of this maiden. It's okay, so it's a woman who's sculpted into ice, so it's what we
Yeah,
call her an ice
a
maiden.
girl.
A girl, right?
Yes.
And he's right in front of her. He's just eating this ice cream, and I wrote down Bronson eats the relative of an ice maiden.
Yes.
Now, spoiler alert. Even though if you're watching this show, why the hell do you need that? At the end of the episode, we find out that the Ice Maiden is actually his cousin.
Yeah, well, you ruined the whole episode.
Yeah,
man.
I'm sorry, but like
Ruined
it's
it.
so important. Like the fact is that he finds out it's his cousin. It's his relative. So
Yes.
it's like right at the start, it's like we find out that he's actually interested in his relative.
Yeah, so he's wearing his cowboy hat, licking his ice cream, maybe suggestively, some would say, staring.
I thought it was a mocking one. Like
Was
you're
it
like,
mocking?
Like he's like, I have ice cream and you don't. Haha.
No,
you
but
know?
he was looking longingly at her because he was in love with her.
Yeah. And at the end of the episode, he licks ice cream as well.
Does he? Yes,
Yeah,
he
he
does.
does. So,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll get it. There's a lot of ice cream. There's a lot of symbolism, like we said. We'll try and unpack it as we go along.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see. We'll see indeed. So he jumps straight out of the teaser into the actual episode, and Bronson is still licking an ice cream, still looking at an ice maiden, but instead of being in the wonderland of teaser world where it doesn't actually exist in the world, it's kind of like a black background, nothing really happening there. We're actually in Tony's shed. Tony's sculpting away like a madman, and Bronson is licking, staring lovingly into the eyes of his ice love.
Was that still the same coloured ice cream?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, okay.
I believe so, but we can fact check that later. No, we won't.
No, we won't. We won't
Well,
check it
you
later.
can if you want. If you'd like to fact check us
Yeah.
and tell us how wrong we are, feel free to do so. Contact us in any of the myriad of ways. Tales from the twists
Yes,
on
and
any
if you
social
want to
media.
watch ahead and contribute with notes, contact us.
So Bronson's licking his ice cream, and Tony's very depressed. And he's staring into the eyes of what he's sculpting, and he's saying, "You're a cold woman, and you've killed my heart." Fairly obviously, not talking about the sculpture, he's talking about Faye, who broke up with him
remember,
last
he's not
last
saying
episode.
it, he's singing it.
Ah, yes,
He's going,
you're a cold woman.
Cold woman. You know what? I thought he was trying to sing like a...
Some Barnes.
No, not Barnes.
Chisel.
I thought... No.
Cold Chisel.
Cold Chisel. Actually, it's pretty clever. I guess, kind of. Actually, it's not really.
One for Joe.
One for Joe. I actually saw it more as that song by Foreigner.
Yeah, which one?
God, I can't fucking remember.
Are you talking about White Snake?
She's as cold as ice, willing to sacrifice our love. Dun, dun,
You could also, put in White Snake.
Yeah, what's one?
I'm a drifter, I was born to walk alone. Doesn't really fit, but it's my favourite karaoke song. So there you go.
But mine was actually related.
If we're singing.
Mine was related to ice.
Mine was related to singing.
Mine was related to ice.
Yeah, you were singing.
And
so
heartbreak, and it being about a woman. Yours is related to singing. I think mine is much closer.
Well, you could. As you may have realised from listening to our podcast, you can draw parallels to anything. And I think that White Snake's Drifter is very closely related to this episode.
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad to understand that you don't know anything, but that's okay.
Well, thank you.
That's all right.
Anthony Bull.
Anthony Bull. Bull stands for...
Casting judgment on my level of knowledge.
I will do that. I will do that all day, every day.
All day, every day. Bronson says, "You're amazing." And Tony's a little enheartened by this. He's like, "Oh, thanks, Bronson. A lot of children like their fathers, but that's a really nice thing to say about me." And he says, "No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the Ice Maiden, who I'm in love with." And Tony says, "Listen, Bronson, everything in this world, it melts away."
Oh, my goodness.
To nothing. To nothingness. Just like a woman's love. She'll love you and she'll melt away.
It suddenly becomes a nihilist the second his relationship's over. He's like, what is the point? All things fade away from existence. There is nothing new. Meaningless. Life is meaningless. There is no purpose. Love fades. My heart is stained along the wall with blood. Knives in it. Oh, it hurts so bad. I'm just trying to make up crap poetry.
Like 14-year-old angsty
My
pseudo
heart
metal.
is broken into 1,000 pieces and shattered as a visage on the floor.
From happy, artistic, greenie to depressed, ice carving,
emo teen
sculptor.
Well, I guess he's an artist. I guess that's maybe.
There's got to be some way in touch
sort of
with
emotion.
his sensitivity.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's a phone call for Tony. He leaves Bronson alone with the woman, the ice woman, and Bronson says, "All women are intercontinental."
I don't know what he's trying to say.
I don't know what he's trying to say here. Was he trying to say that they're incontinent?
No, there's no way it could be they're incontinent. That makes no sense.
He could be saying that.
Yeah,
the melting thing.
Yeah, I guess so. But that's dumb. It's like all women are incontinental. What is he trying to say? They're not incontinent. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, usually when Bronson gets a word wrong, it's fairly obvious what the word is supposed to be.
Or they'll say something to
not in this case.
They don't even explain it. It's just all women are incontinental. Maybe he's trying to say inconsequential, but I don't know even if that's accurate to use in that.
You could, whatever.
Whatever. Maybe it's just like intercontinental.
We find out here that Tony has made a deal with Bronson that Bronson's going to look after his cousin Terry for $10. But Bronson has been under the impression that this Terry was a boy.
Yeah.
Terry, name could go either way.
Yeah.
A boy or a girl. He thought it was a boy, and it turns out that Terry has to stay in his room, because that's part of the $10 agreement. And since finding out that Terry is actually a girl, Bronson does not want her in his room, because he hates women.
Why doesn't she just stay in, what's his name, Linda's room?
Well, because he made the deal with Bronson.
He should have made the
They
deal
should have
with
just had Linda. Well,
like,
Linda's older. This is a younger girl. She might not want the younger girl roaming around. So the girl's similar age to Bronson. Maybe they get along, be friends.
You could have just
lovers,
been like, don't
whatever.
you want to teach a woman of the new generation how to fight for her independence and, unlock this potential that exists? Don't let society tell the woman, to conform to a gender role. So, give it to Linda, who can help her unlock her potential, or some other BS you can use to try to get her out of your room. I don't like women.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go around it, is it?
Well, these things happen. Nels now comes in and she's fairly upset that Tony's sculpting because she thinks that the ice sculptures have been commissioned for Gribble. Okay?
Yeah.
But Tony's under the impression that they were commissioned for the CWA, the Country Women's Association.
Yeah.
Okay? But it turns out that Tony's been tricked. And so the ice sculptures are actually being used by Gribble and Gribble's family to use Tony Twist's name as an environmentalist and artistist, sculpture person, whatever. Just ignore my blah, 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 blah.
No, you're absolutely right.
And they're trying to use his influence to persuade people to vote for Gribble.
Using his
name.
his brand.
His brand, yeah, exactly, yeah. And Tony's not okay with this. Because he's an artist, and, I imagine in the art world, your brand as an artist is very important.
Yeah, of course.
And he's already chosen to, what's the word? Endorse Nell as the proper candidate.
His political values are not
more
aligned
closely aligned with Nell.
Not aligned with Gribble's.
Yes.
The thing is, though, this happens probably with a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Commission work. That's just how it works. But I don't understand how he got tricked. It's in the contract. So as a part of the contract, there would be specifications as to what pieces you want, because otherwise, if let's say the pieces were not delivered as per instructions, you could then say, look, you need to remake this because it doesn't fit the contractual terms. Yeah. So there would have been 4 pieces. It would have been in the contract 4 sculptures, and it would have been outlined what the sculptures are supposed to be in general. One of them would have been a boat, and it would have been maybe even a specified type of boat. So boat, preferably steam powered or turn of the century, because he could have just done a galleon or a Roman trireme. Yeah. But it would have been James Gribble. How could you not have that there? He'd be like, the 4th sculpture is going to be James Gribble.
So there's 4 sculptures that he needs to sculpt. First one's a boat. The second one is an ice horse. The third one is an ice maiden. And the 4th one is a sculpture of Gribble himself.
Yes.
Okay? Now, like you were saying, I would have thought that would give it away.
Yeah.
That the sculpture of Gribble, why would they want that for the CWA?
Yeah, absolutely. If it was the Gribble family or something, even then it wouldn't make much sense.
Why would you have that for the CWA?
Why would you have that? Wouldn't it be the last one being the CWA logo?
I do not know.
I'm sure it's easy enough to do.
I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know what the CWA logo is.
I'm imagining, and this is a guess, it's probably a C, and there's a W and an A. Okay, so there's a C as the outer border, and then the W is going to be inside it, and then the A is going to be inside the W because the A fits inside a W quite well.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's just a guess.
Just graphic designer's intelligent guess.
Yeah.
So Bronson wants to get out of his contract, and now Tony wants to get out of his contract as well. So they're trying to get out of their contracts, and Bronson says, listen, if you get out of your contract, having to make these ice sculptures, that's not fair, because I want to get out of my contract. So Tony says, listen, we're men of our word here, twist men.
Yeah.
Let's do the right thing. Let's both fulfill our contracts.
And this actually kind of relates to what's happened in last week's episode where Faye left him. They're not in a contract, but they did have some sort of relationship agreement sort of thing,
Yes.
And so they broke their relationship. She broke contract, if you want to say.
Well, hang on.
I know it's not a contract. It's not a real contract. My point is if your word is your bond and your word is good forever, then that can be applied to almost anything.
They were just engaged. They weren't married.
Yeah, but engagement is I don't know. My point is, it could teach Bronson to maybe. I feel like his relationship his recent breakup has made him want to commit to things a little bit more. Maybe. That's what it's about. It's not about committing to things. Yeah.
Well, I think getting out of an engagement is less of a big deal than getting out of a marriage.
Oh, absolutely.
If you drop your engagement, it's okay.
It would be better. It would be better to drop an engagement than it would be to drop a marriage. Especially if you got married and then decided to get a divorce, it'd be you wasted. Not just did you wasted time and emotions, you wasted a lot of money on a wedding. Okay?
I think
weddings are not cheap.
I don't know. This might just be a bit out there, but maybe it's just my weird perspective. But sometimes I feel like people that break up when they're engaged and call off the wedding, that's kind of looked more upon as, that's fine. Then people who just break up.
Yeah.
If you're going out and you break up, it's what happened? It's a pretty big deal. But if you break up when you're engaged, it's still a big deal. People are like, oh no, what happened? It must have been pretty serious. But everyone's a lot more understanding about it. Because it obviously must have been pretty big deal.
And I agree. It's people are still like, oh, what happened? But it's not like, oh, are you sure you can't get back with them? It's like,
okay,
I understand, because it'd be a big deal to break up with an engagement. It had to be something huge to warrant that. It wouldn't just be, I don't think Bronson likes me.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. It's a little, okay, whatever, sure. Yeah.
Because getting out of an engagement is like saying, I'm sure that I can't spend the rest of my life with you, right?
Yeah.
You're better off breaking up when you're engaged than breaking up when you're married.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know, a bit of an interesting look into social contracts.
What we learned from here is that marriage does not solve a broken relationship.
Yeah, good
A lot
point.
of people try to do that.
So Bronson can't get out of his contract to get Terry to not stay in his room, so instead he develops ways to try and murder her by making a chain trip on the bottom of his doorway so that when she tries to enter, she'll fall down and smash her head.
I thought it was just to try to, like, keep her out.
No.
How?
It's clearly to kill her.
How does it even work?
Look,
it's dumb.
I have a dark mind.
I know, but, like, it's still kind of dumb. Like,
he's trying...
He's trying his best,
what is the... He's put this chain here at the bottom of the door.
Yeah, what's it going to do?
Yeah, what's his intention here? What is his intention?
To try to keep women out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're going to fall over, they're going to get up, and they're going to sleep in his room.
Yeah, that's kind of like women in general, right?
Women, eh?
I don't know, they fall over chains that you have outside your bedroom, and then they climb into your bedroom.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? I've been told.
Yeah, sure.
Sure,
Why not?
It's a custom in Spain.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Okay. He also makes a big sign that says, no redhead women allowed. There must have been some other scene that tells us that she's redhead. I don't know how he found that out. He'd never met her before. Linda...
And allowed is spelt allowed, as in, like, being loud. So
yes, allowed.
Yeah.
Instead of allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell the difference there?
Yeah, I think everybody can tell the difference, yeah.
Yeah. Linda says, oh, but what about you? You're redhead. And instead of saying, I'm a boy, he says, I'm a strawberry blonde.
Should have been a first clue that they were related.
Well, Bronson's hair color, what is it?
Red.
Is it red?
It's like, I don't know.
As some of our listeners may know.
It's not ginger, but it's definitely not. I have no idea. When people say blonde, I don't even know what blonde is. I'm dead serious.
I don't know.
Like, you know when someone has light brown hair and they say, actually, I'm a dirty blonde or I'm a dark blonde? I'm like,
yes.
No, you got brown hair. Blonde to me is yellow. Yellow or white or a variant of gold.
Blonde is just the lightest end of the spectrum of brown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, it's like when I see someone with like really light brown hair, it's like they're light brown hair. It's not dark blonde. I don't get that. How is that dark blonde? Why does it make no sense to me?
My hair is in the medium of brown, right?
Yeah.
Towards the light end. And is yours black?
Mine's really dark brown.
Is it dark brown?
Super dark brown,
Okay. Yeah. So I'm colorblind, so I'm not the most suited to this conversation, but I would say Bronson's is probably on the spectrum of red, right?
Yeah.
It's not blonde.
Yeah.
It's definitely not peroxide blonde.
It's not peroxide blonde, no.
But is it strawberry blonde?
Okay.
I would say it's probably in the spectrum of ginger.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, he's got ginger face too.
Yeah?
So,
ginger face.
Well, he's got more freckles on his face. So I don't know. Isn't that related somehow?
I don't know. I guess.
I don't know how
is it one of these
work?
afflictions like pygmy?
If it's an affliction to have red hair, or it'd be a ginger. Be racist or something. I don't know.
Can you be racist against redheads?
Yeah.
Can you?
Or bigoted, I guess.
Well, yeah, you can be bigoted against anything, but is it technically racism?
Well, they're not a race of people, but then what is it? But then what is a race of people? Like, of course, like, is an African American a race? Like, if you were racist to a Aboriginal using slang terms for black guys, are you being racist? Yes, you are. But they're not. But you're referring to an Aboriginal as a black guy.
Yes.
But you think you're calling him terms related to an African American, but
yes.
That's not his race. Yeah. He's actually Aboriginal. Because I've always that's so weird.
Racism itself, to call someone a racist, is actually kind of pretty not okay even these days, right? Because the idea of race is something that's kind of been debated in the last couple of decades, and saying, there's not really races.
Yeah, there's not really races. There might be ethnicities, I think would be the best thing. There's ethnicities and there are skin colors. Because, not all black guys are the same. They cut from the same cloth. But then, race is also a mental image. If you go and let's take from a KKK perspective. Let's think like the KKK.
Oh, that sounds like a great road to go down, Anthony.
All people who aren't white, but even we just talk about black guys, all black guys are grouped together as just one collective unit, and that are labeled as bad. They look down upon that. They view all that race as a bad thing. In their mind, that's the other race.
It's just crazy because the KKK, for example, they hate black people and non-whites, blah blah blah. But they also hate the Jews.
Yeah, I find that so weird, and I couldn't tell the difference between a Jew and a white guy. They look like they say I'm Jewish. I'm like, I thought, what? When people say I'm not white, I'm Jew. Right? I'm a Jewish guy.
There's a Jewish nose.
Or something. They're supposed to be that. Or curly hair is a traditional stereotype. But it's like, when someone says that they're Jewish and they're not white, it's like, but totally
but
white.
If you
look white. I mean, you look creamy white, baby.
If you look at the Israeli Jews,
yeah,
they look very different to, the
they're
Jewish
more of a,
people that might be in Australia or in America.
Olive skin.
Yeah. They're more like, they look like the Arabs.
They look like they're from, the Middle East.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're from the Middle East. Yeah.
It's just very interesting because, racism, what does it mean? Like, sure, there's differences based on your genealogy, right?
Because, there's arbitrary terms. Like, again, white people are not all the same thing. Like, you've ever seen a French person compared to a Swedish person compared to another person. They look very different. You see the French nose is a big deal. You can see the massive difference there. To say that all those people are white and a part of the same race is racist.
Well, what I was going to say with the genealogies, right? It depends on your parents and grandparents and stuff like that. So there can become groupings, right? So this is like where you get those race ideas because, these people have a certain number of common ancestors. And so, for example, with the Aboriginal Australian, they often say that, this person is the best for running. The way that this person is built, they're built, their genes, the way that their skeletal structure, like
Kenyans
the
are supposed to be really good at it. I think they did the research, and most of the Olympic athletes came from just one tribe or a couple of tribes and so it's not necessarily Kenyans. Kenyans absorb a lot.
This is what I'm trying to
say. It's just
like
a tribe in Kenya that has at least 80% of marathon runners or winners in the Olympics came from this one tribe.
Not to dig myself a big hole.
Yeah.
Which I probably will, and I'll probably have to cut this out.
We're talking about race with two white guys.
If we look at animals, right? Like dogs, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay? There's still a dog.
Yeah.
It's the same animal, but there's different breeds.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not as extreme in humans.
Yeah.
But they have different characteristics based on the way that they're bred.
Yeah.
And so humans do as well, right? To a degree. But whether you can call it a defined race or a breed, probably not in humans, would you say? I didn't think that you probably could do that, but you would have certain physical similarities with other people that have common ancestors to you.
Yeah.
So you and I, we have certain things
common.
that we're similar, but we're very different body types.
Yeah, of course.
Like we have similar skin tone, but everything else about us is quite different. I see that all
the time. I see sometimes I've seen that nose before. I see some people with nose and I've seen that nose before on a different person. You're absolutely right. But think of this, they are they're man-made constructions.
Yes.
Like grouping terms. And people might say, species, there you go. That's the real terms. But they're also man-made terms to try to group creatures according to how we best define them. Because
one of the things that we do well as humans, or one of the things that we need to do is be able to name things and group things so that we can understand it. Yeah. Because if you can't group it, how can you give it mental attributes to be able to understand what it is? You can't. You have to be able to name and label it to be able to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just interesting.
So racism is bad.
Outdated maybe.
It's outdated,
Being mean to anybody because of anything is bad.
Yeah.
But maybe you should find a different kind of discrimination.
Yeah, I don't know. Just discriminate against them being assholes. That's probably the best discrimination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Back to the episode. Linda says, don't be down on redheaded women. There's lots of famous redheaded women.
Yeah.
There's Nicole Kidman, Bette Midler, and Elizabeth I.
And then Bronson closes the door, and I was like, well, I was interested in hearing the rest of her list. Because, I'm sorry, I can't think of another redheaded person.
Julia Gillard.
Yeah, that's it. The only other one I could think of was Julia Gillard. And, can you think of 3 redheaded men? That isn't just Scottish guys. It's those random Scottish guys who, I don't know, William Wallace was probably
Maybe
redhead.
it is racism then.
What?
If they're all Scottish.
Well, maybe. I don't know if they're all Scottish, but it seems like they all would come from... A lot of redheads come from Scotland, or at least that's the stereotype.
The common ancestor thing. But, let's get past this. I got so many notes.
We got too many notes.
So at the Gribble fundraiser, Tony shows up, and they're using Tony's art to support Gribble's politics, like I was saying. And Gribble's pretty surprised when Tony rocks up with the ice horse, which is the second of 4 sculptures. He's replacing the ice boat. And he says, listen, this is pretty good. I didn't know that you could do real-looking stuff, like, art.
What's
the implication here?
Implication
What are you implying here, Mr. Gribble?
Postmodern art is terrible. Or, alternatively, that the common man does not appreciate postmodern art.
We could spend several hours on this, because I find this really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Art. The whole conversation of art. Like,
what is art?
What is art? Blah, blah. In my opinion, like, art is something that has, artistic merit. Like, something that helps you learn about the human condition or gives you insight into something about existence as a whole. And a lot of people who don't understand art just prefer entertainment. So when we talk about films, something I'm very passionate about, people always say, it was a good movie when they enjoyed it because they're getting entertainment about it. But that's looking at something on a different level to saying, is it good art?
Well, is Andy Warhol's famous movie or film art? You know which one I'm talking about, the 7-hour footage of the New York Empire State Building.
It probably is. Like, you could probably say that's good art. Is it a good...
It's art. I wouldn't say it's good art. Like, it's a continuous shot of the Empire State Building.
Well,
I think the purpose of it was to be, like, to show, like... Because halfway through they changed there's a transition between one reel to the other, and it's like, that's the whole point of the art project.
Yeah. Conceptually, that's a pretty good
Conceptually
idea,
makes
right?
sense. Yeah, I guess maybe
But
consumption, it's terrible.
If you look at it in terms of... I'd like to say that there's 2 different things, right? There's movies and there's film, and you can look at any movie this way. So, was it a good movie? Did it give entertainment? And for most people, that's going to be a fairly subjective answer because it comes down to your opinion and your background and, did I enjoy it or not? Yeah, Transformers. Did you enjoy it? Did it entertain you for the 2 hours or whatever it went for?
Did you get your money's worth?
And that's going to differ from person to person based on your personal tastes. But was it a good film? I think there's more, probably not entirely objective. Nothing's objective in this world as far as human interactions. Like, sure, there's objective reality, but... objective stance, it's really hard to have that as a human.
Yeah.
You can say, based on these things, was it well shot? Does it have depth?
Good screenwriting.
Was the writing good? You can make the argument that, no, it's not a good film, but was it a good movie? Sure, why not?
Yeah. It's like how crappy movies can be really good.
Yeah.
Like, in the sense that you really enjoy them, but they're still terrible.
Yeah, it can be objectively a terrible film, like, The Room or something like that. But it can be really, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, give you that good movie
The weirdest thing
experience.
is, take A Room, for example, like, is that still a good film if you intend to make it... Like, let's say Tommy Wiseau was actually a little bit more smarter.
Yeah.
And he intended to make a bad film. Like, he really did go out of his way to make a bad film.
Then he would be a
Birdemic
genius.
is a good one, actually. Because the guy who actually directed Birdemic was apparently, like, the head of the Canada's Cinematography Association.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, it's hard for me to believe that he doesn't understand all these tropes he's entering in, and he purposely made a bad film, putting in all the bad film conventions. Wouldn't it be a good film then because he's understanding this and he's turning it on its head? Would he have to write a thesis to explain it?
Well, there's a big difference between making something that satirizes something and making something that just is that thing. So, you get a lot of these movies that parody, say for example, the genre scary movie or that kind of thing, not just another teen movie or that kind of thing. They're satirizing that thing that they're making fun of. But a lot of those films fall in the trap of just becoming that film and not making a joke of it, just becoming what they're trying to make fun of.
And just like adding like a little, I don't know. Yeah. I want to say humor, but they're not funny movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like that film, have you seen They Came Together? Amy Poehler and the guy who's in all the stuff, Paul Rudd.
I've not seen that.
It's a satire of romantic comedies.
Yeah.
But it really just becomes one.
Yeah.
It's a satire of bad romantic comedies, but, it doesn't do much to come out of that level.
Yeah.
It just does all the things that they do.
It's like Black Dynamite's a good example of...
Yeah, because it really... It's
a decent satire of exploitation films.
And it works on multiple levels.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, recommendation of the day. If you're going to watch a film, a good bad film that is intentionally a bit bad, but is actually good, Black Dynamite.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
About a guy.
A black guy who
knows martial arts.
And he's the best CIA agent.
He's got a helicopter.
He's got a helicopter. I like that movie. Anyway.
Gribble is very excited about the ice horse. He says it represents virility, vitality. It's the wild stallion. You know, it's what these people need. It's libido. He's very excited about it. And Tony says, actually, that's a mare.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
and then everybody
not
goes,
the testosterone-filled symbol that you think.
And everyone goes and inspects its junk.
Yeah, in the weirdest scene of the episode, everyone bends over to see if the ice horse has a penis.
Yeah, I find that so weird. But then I find it even weirder that Tony would even contemplate sculpting a penis onto an ice horse.
Well, he didn't. That's why he made a mare.
I know, right? But like, why would anyone even assume that? Like, of course it has to be a mare. Does that mean he sculpted a vagina onto the horse? Or is it just a horse without any genitalia?
This is something I'd rather not get into. But
yeah.
I'm assuming that it was just left flat because on a normal horse, do they have? No, you know what? Let's just not talk about this. I'd rather not know.
All right.
So Gribble says there's 2 sculpts remaining. There's an Ice Maiden and there's Ice Gribble. Yeah. And Nell says, you can't sculpt him. You can't do it. You're helping him. Nell's very upset that Tony would give anyone his support other than her. Like, she's very, you know, controlling about this.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit out of character, really.
I do think so as well. Like, well, maybe she doesn't even try to persuade him. Like,
she
in
just
a way
says,
that makes sense.
Do it.
It should be like, he's everything you disagree with in politics. You know, I'm not saying you have to make me. Look, she should have taken this selfless route and gone. You're not saying you have to sponsor me or do anything for me.
Yeah.
But he's completely against everything you stand for.
Yeah.
You know, you support Greenpeace. That man just dumped sludge into our beaches. I can't understand this. You know, I understand that you want to do ice sculpture, and then he could have said, I know, but just have faith or something like that. And it would be like, oh, what kind of sneaky business you got up to?
Yeah, she takes the wrong approach here. She says, you need to do this for me because you said this for me. Whereas whenever you're trying to convince somebody to do something, it should always be, this is good for you because of these reasons. And if that happens to line up with what I want as well, that's good. But you should be focusing on what's good for you, not what's good for me. Why does that matter?
From a negotiation standpoint, you can still try to manipulate people. Okay, I'm talking about manipulation here. It's terrible, but you can still...
What's wrong with manipulation? There's nothing inherently wrong with manipulation.
I know, but it does sound bad. Like, you should manipulate, in a good negotiation, you should manipulate people's emotions that are already there for your advantage.
Manipulation.
It sounds so terrible when you say it, and it kind of is, but from a business point of view, I've always, you held the position of, whenever you're talking to a producer, when you're trying to get something, you need to reinforce your relationship and how you've had this great partnership that you don't want to turn away. But when they do that, remind them that it's a business relationship. Manipulation is human interaction. You can be good at it or you can be bad at it. If you're going to get good at it, you're going to get what you want. If you're bad at it, you're going to get screwed over. Yeah. This is the way of the jungle. You know, it's not about good and evil, as we talked about last week or the week before or something. Morality is not straight up. Yeah. You know, do what's best for you. Yeah. You know, and if that means manipulating people, don't do it in a way that's going to make them worse off. Yeah. But try and treat them as equals. Treat everybody as equals. Yeah. And do what's best for you, but don't try and screw people out of things. Yeah. Fair enough. So the ice boat has melted. Gribble's getting rid of it. Bronson wants it. So Gribble sells it to him for 20 cents. And he says, teach this boy the value of money. It's fair enough. Like, don't pay for things that you can get for free. Well, was he going to get it for free? Well, they would have just thrown it out and he could have got it out of the garbage bin. I don't know if that's illegal. If that's legal or not. Oh, well, they don't really care. Isn't there a law against that? I don't know. He does it later. Yeah, I know, but like it's still illegal, right? To fetch, like, to peel through someone's garbage. Did John Safran get convicted when he went through Mike Munro's garbage? No, but they probably wanted to. I mean, could they sue for that? I think you can. Because, like, even though it's still garbage, it's still your property until it goes away. I'm not sure the rules on it, but still, regardless, 20 cents is a good way of at least showing that there's that object is mine. So maybe he does already know the value of money. Yeah. So I can have this object for myself, and there would be no legal claim to it, as opposed to Gribble could say, actually, that's mine. I threw it on the garbage, but it's still mine. Yeah. No, you sold it to me for 20 cents. We all saw the transaction take place. I don't know what 20 cents was worth in 1992. An icy cup. Probably would have been, an icy cup. It's not insubstantial. It's like, it's enough to get you... What's an ice cup worth now? $2.50? That's like $1.50. Like, okay. You know, like those, you get them from like the schools and they sell it to you for 30 cents and it was great. It was just frozen cordial. Yeah. Well, the Bronson doesn't get frozen cordial for 2 days. So I hope that ice sculpture was worth it. It's 20 cents. Yeah. You know,
Even in 92. We're not talking about 1960 here.
Yeah.
And it's not,
Not great. It's fine.
How,
For a
how
child,
much is
though,
Tony making a week? He's selling some of those sculptures for a few $100s.
Probably, yeah.
Apparently he sold the ice sculptures for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get hints of that throughout the episode. But let's move on.
What did he spend the money on, though?
Apparently he's already spent it, yeah.
Yeah,
It's alluded to that he's already spent it. What's he already spent it on? Rent, maybe? Mortgage? He owns the Limehouse mortgage?
I don't know.
I don't know. Savings? It's not
That
really
doesn't-
spent.
That's not really spent, yeah.
I don't know. School fees?
Yeah, there's no school fees. It's public school.
I don't know.
Is there? I don't know. We went to
I can
a
think
private
of-
school, so I have no idea how... Is there?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Rabbit touches a boat, the ice boat, with his bare hands, and he gets stuck there because, ice freezes to skin. And Gribble Jr. gets some water to help him get off the ice boat and throws it in his face.
Yep, classic.
Junior Gribble loads up the boat on the back of Tony's truck, and they charge Bronson another 20 cents for shipping and handling.
There you go.
There's a boy that knows the value of money.
Yeah, well,
Junior Gribble.
Junior Gribble. Yeah. Well, fair enough. I mean, he did ship it and move it. I mean, it's like, okay, I'll buy it for 20 cents.
Yeah.
And then they could just be like, we'll just leave it here.
Yeah.
Because you bought it, sure. But if you want us to move it to the truck, it's going to be another 20 cents.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's a fair deal. I mean, you're not going to carry the thing yourself.
What does Bronson do with his ice boat?
Yeah.
He takes it to the ocean and puts it in a big puddle.
Puts it in salt water, right? It's technically salt water because it's in the ocean,
it could be fresh because it's flowing down.
Yeah. But,
and stuck there from the rain or whatever, but it's a big, these big puddles that are near the ocean, assumably from water that's come in with the tide. And then
I am really surprised, though, at the end of the day, when he comes back the next day and it's melted, that there's still remnants of it left. Because, when you put ice in salt water, it's like, it makes it melt faster.
Does it?
Yeah, because it gets cooler. It cools the water way quicker.
How does it work in the ocean?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know how icebergs work, man. I imagine that icebergs are massive.
How do they work?
I think icebergs are massive because they're so massive. Like, they get cool from the outside, but the internal temperature of the ice is still really cold, so it still takes a long ass time for it to melt. Kind of like how if you have a whole bunch of coals in a fire and you move one coal out of the fire, that one coal will go out like that. Yeah. But the coals will stay lit for hours.
Sure.
Yeah.
Back to the lighthouse.
Yes.
Faye and Snapper come over, and Tony's sculpting, and Faye's talking to Tony, and she's saying, "Oh, I'm really sad that we broke up." I don't know why she's come here to gloat that she has a new boyfriend, basically. And Tony says, "Don't worry, I'm fine. I've got no time for a broken heart." I mean, art.
I think she's trying to check in on him.
I guess
she still cares about him, but
but why bring Snapper?
Because I don't know, like I don't know. Because she just wants to make sure that everything's okay, and he was going to walk. Maybe she wanted to go see him alone, but then Snapper was like, "Oh no, I'll walk with you because I'm very protective of you." Because
you've been dating
Tony,
for a week.
I don't. Well, Tony. Well, Tony could take you back in that week, right?
I don't know. I think this is douche move on her part.
I think it's a douche move on bloody Snapper's part.
It's douche move on everyone except Tony here.
Actually, Tony's a bit of a douche.
Well, Tony's had his heart broken.
He's still a bit of a douche.
Give him some leeway. Phony Faye. Sorry, Phony Faye. She comes over and she's here and she says, "There's no reason that we should be cold to each other."
Too many ice puns.
Tony says, "Don't worry, I'm busy. You should go now because I need to sculpt an evil man out of ice." She leaves, and Tony's talking to Bronson, and he says, "If she wants to spend her life with a creepy, wimpy egghead, some boring, pretentious, vacuous, ingracious teacher, then let her. I'm fine without her." And Bronson...
I don't need her anyway. What are you saying?
And Bronson, who is very upset about Terry coming over still, he says... "Ugh, I don't want to have to share my room with a creepy, wimpy, redhead girl. Boring, pretenderous, vacuuming and graveling." Some great Bronsonisms here.
I thought that was great.
He says, "No way. Who would want to share their room with a girl, hey?" Tony goes, "Women, eh? Women. Bronson says, you wouldn't share your room with a woman, would you, Dad?" And Tony says, No, I wouldn't. And he looks out of the shed and he sees Snapper put his hand on Faye's back as they're walking away.
Yeah, it's like
disastrous.
You know what?
Disaster.
If this was not ABC, if this wasn't like aimed at children, that hand would have been like clenched into a fist with the middle finger extended while he did it.
Oh,
so it'd just be like, "Yeah, what do you think of this, Mr. Twist?"
He's been friend zoned for a long time.
Oh, he saw the opportunity and he took it.
Yeah. Can't blame him, but still douche move.
It's very dickish.
Mr. and Mrs. Gribble show up wearing their 80s jogging clothes, and they bring a photo for reference for Tony to sculpt. And they say, oh, here you go, you gotta sculpt this now. And Tony goes, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's nighttime. Bronson's having a bad dream. The ghosts show up and they say, oh, bad dreams. They come from having a bad conscience. Conscience. Yes. Yeah. I've written something that starts with a C here, but it's very hard to read.
Conscientiousness.
Yes.
Couscous.
Excellent. Let's not dwell on my spelling. So we get a little bit of insight into Bronson's dream here.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare. And Bronson's tied to a rock.
Yeah.
And there's a little redhead girl who's dressed evilly, and she raises an ice axe and brings it down and splits his ice boat in two. Tony is in the background carving his ice sculpture, and he says, "Not now, Bronson, I'm working."
Yeah.
You want to talk about this for a little bit?
Yeah, I do actually, because I saw a lot of symbolism in this. For starters, like, Bronson is tied to the rock like Prometheus.
Yes,
it literally
Prometheus.
looks like Prometheus.
You want to give us a quick primer on Prometheus?
Prometheus brought light to human beings, and then the gods punished him by chaining him to a rock and having a eagle or a crow peck out his liver every day.
Yes.
And that was his eternal punishment, basically. So
Eternal?
Happened every day. Eternal punishment. Okay, so there's part of that. But then the woman, Terry, is dressed in a white dress.
Yes.
And wearing red, I don't know what you call it. It's like red collars.
Yeah,
so
it's a little girl here. It's not a woman.
It's a little girl, right?
Yeah.
Wearing red. She's got red lipstick as well. Now, you could say that it's sort of red hair, but when you compare it to a shot of the lighthouse, it is the exact same color. And I mean literally the same, not hue.
Yeah,
it's the exact same color code. Imagine if you took both of those shots into Photoshop, you'd probably find that they have very close, similar numbers. So, to me, I see this as actually... I cannot see Terry as the lighthouse, to be honest. Or something along those lines. And she's smashing up this boat.
Yeah.
Right? And this happens later on as well. Like, the stallion gets destroyed. What I read into this is actually that the women in Bronson's mind, she's relating this to Faye, because Faye as well didn't like the lighthouse, wanted to get rid of the lighthouse.
Okay.
Right? Now, when you get rid of a lighthouse, what happens?
I don't know. Boats crash?
Boats crash. Boats sink, right?
Good
So
one.
that's what I picked up, was that the symbol is that the boat is a symbol of male freedom, or their ability to go forth and be free.
Yes.
And do stuff. When you have a woman entering into your life, you're a bit more tied down. You're tied to port. You can't go off on the high seas. You can't go off on adventures.
Okay.
A bad woman will come in and wreck that. They will chain you into this Prometheus-style relationship where you get your liver pecked out, basically, in a cruel relationship, while your freedom and your dreams are smashed in front of your eyes. The lighthouse being the symbol of...
Hope.
Yep, the hope.
Masculine freedom.
Masculine freedom. The only woman in the woman who destroyed Tony's interest or whatever has hurt Tony, wanted to destroy the lighthouse.
Yeah, interesting.
There you go.
You could also read in some Freudian messages here.
Oh, absolutely.
A long thing being smashed by a woman.
Yeah, you can represent it as his penis. But it's like, I don't know, I don't want to apply that for that because he's a child.
7.
He's a 7. Whereas I could see this happening, this symbolism could still be applied for a child. And maybe a child wouldn't think it, but at least you could still apply the symbolic meaning
that's true.
of it. So,
yeah. Not Freud, but Jung talked about the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
And, these ideas of these symbols and reoccurring messages that happen throughout humans. So I could get, I could dream about some thing like this, a Freudian symbol, and not ever having known the symbology behind that, but because those symbols are mixed up in the creative unconscious, I dream in that language.
Okay, it's interesting because it's like that's different to what is it, Baudrillard?
I'm not sure.
Semiotics.
Yes, I know a very tiny amount about Jung.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not enough to be able to
defend Jung. Or
defend
talk about him. Yeah, that's fine.
But he was one of these. He was like a contemporary of Freud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were kind of working together, and then they split.
Because Freud had some weird ideas.
Also, because they had that weird thing with that woman. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It's weird.
No, I haven't seen it.
Weird. I can't remember what it's called, but I think Fassbender's in it, so go and have a look at that.
Mr. Fassbender.
Yeah.
The movie.
Bronson is awake now
Yep.
and terrified of his nightmare. He runs out of his room and trips over his own trap. He doesn't die.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. And he goes, Dad. Dad's downstairs working on some other art, extracurricular art. You should be working on ice sculptures, Tony. You've got a lot to do. Tony goes, listen, It's just a nightmare. Don't worry. Only I can be prophetic in this family. Only I can tell the future with my dreams.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
not
much.
going to come true. Bronson, next morning, out where the boat was, it's melted.
Yeah.
She did it. My dream came true. She
The
did it.
woman has
Terry,
melted my dreams.
she melted the boat in my dreams. She did it. She's evil.
All things come to pass.
Back to the lighthouse. He's telling Tony, she did it, Dad. She did it. And Tony goes, listen, don't worry. Everything is connected in this universe.
Yeah.
If it melts, it's just gone to become another part of the universe.
He's moved from emo teen to... Well, has he gone through this stage? I want to say he's gone through the stages of grief, but
Yes.
he hasn't done the bargaining. That I can tell, but he's gone to the acceptance part, or he's gone to that airy-fairy, he's moved from emo teen to raw one connected entity, a single energy, a unified consciousness.
Buddhism, right?
Buddhism, kind of Buddhist. So it's like, he's a teenage Buddhist, basically.
Tony Twist, teenage
He's
Buddhist.
like, he's not really Buddhist, but he's like, oh yeah, Buddhism, man. And you know what? I also like Taoism. It's pretty cool, man.
Taoism.
Taoism.
I
cool.
know very little about Taoism.
It's like the yin and yang one, right?
Uh,
That's the extent of my knowledge of it. Basically, the duality of life, a few other things like that. And...
we need to read more about this stuff so we can be more informed for this.
No, we don't have to be more informed about that
No,
stuff.
no. When has being informed ever helped us before?
That's true.
Yeah. Bronson goes to get the ice horse because the ice maiden is nearly ready.
Why does he want these ice sculptures?
I don't know.
Outside of
He just
wanting
wants them. He clearly doesn't understand that ice melts. He's 7, but surely he would have learnt this by now.
Well, it's,
ice just
again,
melts.
with the steep symbolism in this, is there any symbolism in that?
You mean like a romantic optimism?
Well, yeah, or even just, the way a child doesn't understand how romance can sometimes
Doesn't understand
fail.
death?
Well, I was going to
Loss?
say death. I was going to say romance fails. In the same way that a child who goes through a divorce doesn't understand that you're supposed to love, you're supposed to love someone forever. And when you become an adult, you realize that, there is a expiry date on relationships sometimes.
Oh, isn't that the great learning curve of the human race? The loss is a thing. No thing lasts forever.
I mean, that's something that Bronson is struggling to understand, even with all his ice. And you know what? He's projecting his failures because he's the one who's caused the ice to melt often through his inability to keep the ice cold or putting it in ice water. He's blaming it on women. So maybe he's bad at relationships. He doesn't put enough investment into the relationship like his father does. Because remember, he learns from his father as per the speech.
Yes.
Right? His father maybe doesn't put in the investment in the relationship that he needs to. And he blames it on women.
Interesting.
When he should be taking responsibility for his own actions.
So Bronson rocks up at the place to get the ice horse where the function is happening. And Gribble's practicing his speech. And he says, I've done a lot of things for this town. I've brought progress. I've brought a pizza parlor. I've brought a video arcade. I've brought a video library. Car yard. What more could you want? And Bronson chimes in. Oh, we could do with a hamburger joint here.
Yeah.
Pretty good point.
And then Gribble's like, that's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And Bronson goes to get the ice horse. And Gribble says, I want to thank all the insignificant people, all the people that are below my achievements. I want to thank you. Great way to win people over there, Gribbs.
Yeah, it's a good way, especially a politician, Jeez.
Again, if you're trying to convince somebody to do something, you need to tell them, this is good for you for these reasons, not why this is good for me.
You should elect
Even though that was it Clinton?
What?
You should not think about what's good for you. Think about...
No,
Don't
JFK,
think about what we
JFK.
can do for you. Think about what you can do for America. That is the wrong way.
Yeah,
That's wrong.
it's ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Yeah, wrong. Well, it may have worked for him.
You see,
I don't know
it
the
worked,
entire
it
history
worked
on that.
because the country is a separate entity to JFK.
Yeah.
He can just piggyback off the brand that is patriotic America. So if Gribble had said something along the lines of, let's make Australia great. Don't ask what a great Australia can do for you. Ask what you can do to make Australia great. And one of those ways is to vote for Gribble, because I'm going to make Australia great. In that way, you win through. It's kind of like the fascist idea.
Yes.
Yeah. You have a high opinion leader who says, this is the way of the future. We all need to become this perfect being, proper state model.
The Ice Maiden's done. Bronson's got to prepare for Terry. And he says, how can I deal with her coming? I'll have to make a girl trap. What can I use as bait? Maybe something dumb like a lipstick. Yeah. Would it work? Would a girl trap work if you used lipstick as bait?
No. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not a little girl, but I'm sure an older girl might be interested. I don't know. Yes. If you put on like a discount on the...
You sexist.
I'm not sexist. Alright? You haven't been shopping, have you, with a girl? With a girl, have you? Been shopping with girls? And a makeup fountain? You ever gone to a pharmacy? Don't go to a pharmacy with a woman. I go to a pharmacy with my wife. She's like, I'll just be over here. I'll be like, it's alright. She's looking at all this makeup and she buys a whole bunch of it. I'm like, I don't need that crap. Whatever, fine. I'm just over here looking at vitamins and judging people for their use of marketing terms.
Bronson's sleeping. As the ice horse watches over him, we get another glimpse into a nightmare of Bronson's. He's this time on a meat hook. Yeah. It was a bit weird.
It wasn't a meat hook though. It was it was again another shipping thing. It was a pulley.
Yeah.
So like a
pulley.
Shipping pulley.
Yeah, and the red-headed girl uses her electricity powers to melt the ice horse.
Yeah, that's weird. She was Emperor Palpatine, basically.
Basically Emperor Palpatine. It's morning. Pete and Linda come up to Bronson's room. There's water all over the floor, and the ice horse is melted. And Pete says, I think your horse has got the runs here, mate.
Yep, funny.
Pete of the week.
Pete of the week. Like, he said the runs? That's like, what? I get it, but...
Yeah,
it's gross.
Not his best.
Pretty gross.
Bronson wants to keep the Ice Maiden forever. He still blames Terry for the loss of the horse. He goes, no, the Ice Maiden will never melt. I'm going to save her, she's mine. And Tony comes in and he says, she's just another cold-hearted woman, mate, who will melt away with time.
This is where Tony needs to actually step up and just really explain to
ice
Bronson.
melts.
Well, no, just explain to Bronson the deeper... Like, this is definitely deeper psychological things.
Yes.
Right. He needs to explain to him that things disappear and that sometimes things just end. You have to accept that. Because do you ever think that Bronson... Because remember, Bronson actually likes Faye.
Yes.
Right?
You know what I think this is?
What?
I think this is finally Bronson's internalization of the loss of his mother.
Maybe. And that losing Faye just triggered it because basically it was a new mother.
Yeah. This idea of loss has somehow become tied in his mind with women, with the women presence. So his mum getting close to Tony, she died, loss.
I mean, she died, right?
Deep loss. Well, we can assume so.
Yeah.
Deep loss for everyone.
Yeah.
Faye coming to Tony, she leaves. Great pain for Tony.
Another woman coming to the lighthouse is only going to cause more pain.
Coming to stay specifically now with Bronson,
which is why
she's going to kill what's dear to him. Which in this
Bronson
case is
loves
the
ice. Lighthouse. Remember in the last episode, Bronson loves the lighthouse. He'll never leave.
Yeah.
Because at least that's the stable thing in his relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Very deep.
Now, we're back at the function, and Nell's handing out flyers at the front door, and Gribble tries to stop her. I don't know what's she allowed to do. Yeah, I guess she's allowed to do it as long as she's not in the private property.
Yeah, I think
she
so.
She can do it outside of it.
Footpath,
it's a bit unethical. You don't want to start doing wars like this, because then they'll just do it back to you when you have events.
Yeah, well, he'll do it to you. The thing is, he'll do it to you anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like you might as well do it.
It's almost prisoner's dilemma.
Well, it's game theory again.
Yeah,
but
you need to do it.
The thing is that we know that Gribble will do it because he's used every opportunity to promote his himself as a politician. So obviously you should do it as well.
Yeah,
there's no harm. You will lose if you don't do it.
Yeah, the twists arrive with a sculpture. A deal is a deal. He's done it. It's covered though. Yeah. So we don't know what it is. Obviously, it's not what Gribble wants because we haven't seen it yet. Matron decides to sing at the function as she's basically singing praise to Gribble.
Yep.
And I couldn't really understand the lyrics, but I believe they were give, give, give.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to be an opera.
Yes.
What it should have been actually, it should have been more of a old medieval church style singing voice. You know how because she had a high pitched opera sound.
Yes.
And she was kind of praising him.
You think it should have been more gospel?
It should have been more gospel, more classical gospel, because then it could have been, you could have really driven home the point that they're megalomania of the Gribbles.
Yes.
Viewing them as, really important people. And by the way, Matron is a really good singer.
Well,
she's not really.
I didn't think she was. Everyone loved her.
Voice.
Well, I don't know. How do you judge a singing voice?
Well, I mean, she had a great Simon Cowell. She had a great opera voice. She didn't sound off key or anything.
I guess.
If she was in an opera, I'd say, oh yeah, it fits.
Everyone's cheering. Nell's not impressed. She doesn't enjoy it. I don't know why Gribble just didn't kick her out. She's obviously up to no good.
Yeah, you're not invited.
He goes, now it's time to unveil the final ice sculpture.
Yeah.
And it's caricature of him, of Gribble, holding some money, grasped in his hand as he's chomping on a big cigarette with a big evil grin. Yeah, cigar.
Yeah.
My apologies. Everyone's laughing.
Yeah.
I would say that Tony's attack on Gribble here is pretty ice cold.
Oh, you so... I don't know, something, give him the cold shoulder, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a very good and apt statue, to be honest.
Yes.
As far as caricature goes. It could have been done in a newspaper, like you would have seen that in the Sunday Mail or
It's this
the Australian.
constant characterization of Gribble as this evil capitalist out to exploit the hard-working Australians.
He is out to exploit the hardworking Australians.
He is a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think primarily he's interested in self. And I think that's a value, to be interested in self. It's one, it's predictable, and two, what else is there to be interested in?
Well, I mean, like, you could obviously, sure, but like, we're talking about like how you're going to frame that from a perspective. Like,
yes,
you could view that as a value, but like, taking from Tony's perspective, he views selfishness as, well, exactly as a bad thing. So he's going to try to characterize them in a negative light. Like, the weird thing is, like, how do you characterize someone as evil in an ice sculpture if you're just going to get them to hold on to the money, right?
It's easy, though. It's easy and it's overplayed. It's, this evil capitalist here to exploit us. It's overplayed.
Yeah, but he's exactly what he is, though.
That's what they're trying to make us believe.
He is. He's a pretty apt. It's a pretty apt caricature of Mr. Gribble.
Yeah, but I disagree with...
To say
like,
that...
I agree with you.
I think the cigar was a bit much, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like he should have been holding on to the money and just been, like, really happy about having the money. Because
there's nothing wrong with having money.
Well, yeah, it's like, yeah, I love that. The weird thing is the money was actually made with real stuff. Polymer
it's real money.
That lasts forever, whereas the ice melts. Everything fades away. And if you wanted to drive that point home, you should have made it out of ice to reinforce the fact that ice melts.
I just want to make the point that I disagree with like how much ganging up there is on the, it's like, capitalists are bad. It's just constant, especially in this season. Not so much in the first one, but in this season, it's just, capitalism is so evil, and it grates on me. Yeah. Because it's not. At least in my opinion. You can have your own opinion. You can have your opinion. But in my opinion, I think it is.
We haven't seen from Gribbles. This is fair to beat up on the capitalists, but it's not fair to, like...
it's one-sided. That's the problem.
To be fair, who cares? Fairness is irrelevant. I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
About it, like,
we're talking. Relevant morality.
Irrelevant morality. And, like, if you're the creator of the show, you can obviously do what you want.
Yeah.
But...
It's a two-dimensional character, though.
We don't see the caricature of Tony Twist.
Yes.
At least from Gribble's perspective. We know that Gribble sees him as the pinko, tree-hugging, commie person. I'd like to see a little bit more, like, maybe even just a caricature. Like, maybe next episode would have been cool to see him do, like, a caricature in the newspaper or some sort of drawing from a local artist. It's like, draw him like a tree-hugging, and you could have seen a picture of Tony, like a really bad caricature, as a tree-hugging hippie.
I think what you're trying to say is you want to see three-dimensional characters, not just cardboard cutouts. Like, there's surely more to Gribble and Tony than what we're seeing. This is not an excellent good guy, and this is not a terrible bad guy. They're human beings. Well, like, they have more
Mr.
to them
Twist
than just one quality.
Has some terrible qualities.
Yeah, well, he does. Yeah,
he imparts a lot of bad.
That's
bad stuff on his children. Like, especially how he talks about women during the breakup. Well, Bronson's right there. It's like. He's very impressive. This is
pretty damaging, yeah.
Yeah, you could really mess up their opinions of women.
All right, well, we're going over time a little bit, so let's just start to race through this. Bronson runs to save the Ice Maiden from the bin. He calls her beautiful, and he reaches in to kiss her and gets his mouth and hands stuck to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's an idiot,
I guess.
Didn't you not see what happened to,
No, I don't think he was in the room.
Okay, that's all
right. Rabbit.
Yeah, Rabbit.
Yeah. The Twists have Terry, and they say, sorry, but Bronson might hate you.
Yeah.
Because it's not that he hates you, it's that he's having some issues surrounding redheaded women.
He doesn't like redheaded women for some reason.
And he's having nightmares about it. But yeah, don't worry, you can stay with Linda if there's a problem.
Let's change that up for something else. He doesn't like white people. It's not that he doesn't like white people, it's that he doesn't like people with white-coloured skin at the moment. So don't take it personally, okay?
It's not you.
It's not you, it's just... It's you. Okay?
The Gribbles see Bronson. He's stuck to his statue. And they come up to him. And they say, you're trying to kiss her. Talk about desperate.
Yep.
And, he's trying to say something to them, but he can't because his face is all muffled up because it's stuck to the statue. He obviously wants water so he can be separated from the ice. But the Gribbles are douches, and they don't give him any. And they say, keep cool, Bronson. He falls into a trolley that he's brought to bring the Ice Maiden home, and he rolls down the hill, and he goes right in front of Tony's car, Tony, fairly irresponsible for not waiting to see where his son is, almost hits Bronson as Bronson goes careering down in front of him and towards the ocean. He goes up on the jetty and off into the ocean, and Tony runs after him and dives. You know, he's got to save his son.
Does, yeah.
You know,
good on him.
Second time in this season that we've seen somebody dive into water to save somebody else. Yeah. Bronson's saved, and he's separated from the ice.
Yeah.
And he looks up, and who does he see?
The Ice Maiden.
He sees Terry.
Yep.
As the form of the Ice Maiden.
Ooh.
Because the dad reveals that he's actually used Terry as inspiration for his sculpt and didn't tell Bronson. Which is, you know, a little bit weird because they're cousins, and he's very happy about her. Because Bronson is in love with her.
Like, you didn't call it a nice girl. That's the weirdest part.
And Bronson, Maiden infers girl. It just means
I know, but like when I think
female,
of
right?
but when I think of Ice Maiden, I think of someone who's in their early 20s or late teens. Or late teens actually. Not someone who's 7. Like that would be an ice girl or even an ice lass or something. Something else.
Ice lass?
I don't know. Yeah. But not an Ice Maiden.
Yes. She's licking her ice cream and she smiles down at Bronson.
Yep.
They get Bronson out of the water and they say, is she staying in your room now, Bronson? Bronson, who has been in love with the Ice Maiden, is now in love with the real thing as well, says definitely.
That's gross.
And shares some of the ice cream with Terry.
It's kind of gross, right?
Yeah, a little bit incestuous, you know.
It's very incestuous.
Paul Jennings has, you know, covered some interesting topics in Rail Twist, and I think this is probably the first time we've come across incest. Yeah. Maybe not, actually. There was something weird in season 1 that we talked about. There's some weird Pete and Linda thing.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But in the credits, we get an interesting thing. We often get deleted scenes in the credits, and we got another nightmare in this one. Bronson's trying to eat ice cream. He's got large balls of ice cream stacked up in a fridge.
Yeah.
And Terry throws ice cream all over Bronson before he can eat it.
Yeah.
Horrible. Traumatic.
It's terrible. That's what he. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
taking
remember what
his joys
Remember what
against
happened to his food? Was it his drink? Was it his drink or is his food in last week's episode? You threw it in the garbage. Threw it away.
Yeah.
Maybe related to that. Yeah.
Interesting.
I also saw like that scene. There's one where like the baby cart or whatever it is, it's rolling down the hill.
Yes.
And it's like coming straight towards the camera, and I felt it was like that scene in that Battleship
Potemkin.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, it's totally that, right?
The steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, the famous steps.
The most parodied scene of all time, isn't it?
It probably would be. It's pretty old.
It's like 1905 or something.
Yeah.
I should watch that. It's good comedy.
Did you watch
propaganda.
the whole
I should watch it. I wouldn't watch the whole thing. It's like like when we saw.
It's quite long, right?
Oh, remember when we saw Metropolis?
That was it was good, but
It's
it
a
was
long
slog. Yeah.
so slow because of the title cards.
Yeah.
Not
Well, not
title
just
cards,
that.
the cards,
It's
but,
you know older storytelling.
Yeah.
A bit differently works a bit differently to modern. It wasn't even. It was the most complete cut that you can get.
Yeah.
Which isn't even completely complete because
Like-
the original
but it
was
went
like
for,
3.5 hours or something, right?
Yeah.
The ours was 2.5.
Yeah.
What was it? 3. It was a long time.
It was a long time, and you could have cut it. Like I swear, you could have cut this like the cards. How long the cards went up for a couple of seconds?
Yeah,
Way
they
more.
would have shaved.
And they would have shaved at least half an hour to an hour. Like it could have become better. But
It's good though.
Yeah, like
Good
they should
film.
remake it, but like I don't know if they should.
How do you remake Metropolis?
I don't know.
Isn't it basically just the island?
No, it's not. It's something else.
Metropolis is very good.
Metropolis is very good. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting things in Metropolis.
Yeah.
Even just, background details like metric time and stuff like that. Just nice details. And that one scene, they're very tangential and we're running out of time, but the one scene where the water's rising, they're in that big room and the water's rising and all the children are running in and they're basically drowning.
Yeah.
The way that they filmed that, they just had all these children run into the big room that they filled up with water and they didn't tell them what was happening. And there's this big little tower thing in the middle of the room where the main characters staying to try and stay alive.
Yeah.
And they closed the doors and locked all these children in the room and just started filling it with water. And they're running and they're screaming. And the terror is real because they actually thought they were going to drown. And they're trying to climb this little tower thing. And the main characters are pulling them up, but there's so many of them. There's like 100 small children and they're screaming and crying. That's brilliant. Brilliant filmmaking. Can't get away with that anymore.
You could not. You'd be so many lawsuits.
Yeah.
So many.
It's
and
good,
that's fair
though.
enough. I mean,
good way to make films actually get real emotion.
Yeah, I guess so. You could
They used to do it a lot.
Yeah, well, Could probably stopped it for a reason.
Yeah.
Probably could. I'm surprised that nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird. Like, it's really easy to drown.
It's like in Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Where they would actually kill people when they die.
Really?
Yeah, they'd have criminals get killed, yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Maybe that's just a myth.
I think it's a myth.
I heard that in
I
high
don't know
school.
if it's true.
Yeah, for the death scenes, they'd actually have criminals up and they'd actually kill them.
There's no way that's true, man.
I don't know. There's a lot of disinformation on this podcast.
Chains. They'd have to be in chains or something. Because how could you not just be like, Romeo would, or someone else, no, Hamlet would be like, oh, I'm going to kill this person. And he's in chains, and then all he does is he like puts a chain around Hamlet's neck and snaps his neck and goes,
"This is not an
finished,
action movie."
Finished. I finished the. I changed the story, and people will be like, "Wow, I didn't see that coming."
Oh, what a twist! Such a twist.
And the critics would be like, "Oh, that's a Deus Ex Machina, right?"
Yeah,
doesn't really make sense.
Okay, that's the end of the episode. Any other comments you want to make? No.
Just fine.
Flat out no.
No more comments. It's fine.
And there's a lot in this episode. I think we could spend a lot more time talking about this one. There's a lot of symbols and stuff. Maybe we might come back to it. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. We might do come back to some of the stuff we missed in the season like we did at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
We'll just talk through some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, many bowls of spaghetti would you give Ice Maiden out of 10?
7 out of 10 bowls.
7 out of 10 bowls?
Yeah, it's pretty
and
good.
And what?
And garlic bread.
I would give. That's all right. I would give it 7 bowls of marinara. How do you say it? Marinara.
Marinara. You mean the sauce?
Forget it. 7 bowls of something with some sort of good extra.
Okay. 7 bowls of olive oil.
7.
With
I meant pasta.
Oh, pasta, marinara. Okay. Just go
whatever.
Like 7 bowls of ravioli.
Whatever. 7 bowls of ravioli with, I don't know, a bottle of water.
A bowl of water and the Battleship Potemkin.
I liked it. Okay?
I liked it too. It was a good one.
It was fun to talk about.
Yeah.
That's all we have time for today. If you're interested in contacting us, you can do so on our social medias.
Yep.
Which you can find us on
Facebook. It's Tales from the Twists. And you subscribe to us too. If you like us, subscribe to us on Tales from the Twists on iTunes.
Yes.
You know, it's important you do add the S to the end because, I don't know, iTunes is stupid. Also, you can see us on Twitter on TFT Twists.
Yes.
And our WordPress site is talesfromthetwist.wordpress.com.
Do we have any listener feedback this week? No Pontillo this week because of a miscommunication.
Sorry,
Pontillo.
I kind of screwed that up. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, you're bad.
I should have said something. Well, I posted up something from Christian Jasiki.
Jasiki, a good friend Christian Jasiki, who we don't know.
He was marveled at the Linda All Grown Up episode. He was like, wow, this is from 2004? Jeez. It was pretty cool. And
it wasn't an episode, was it?
No, it was like where Tamsin West is singing.
Tasman. Is it Tasman or Tamsin?
Tamsin. I think it's Tamsin West.
Tamsin.
Yeah, is singing the song.
Yeah.
And it must be on, I think it's like a university project.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of cool, man. It's kind of cool. And if you want to contribite to the show...
Wait, what did Christian say?
He said, wow, this is from 2004.
Oh, is that what he said?
Cool. With a big smiley face. Yeah. That's all he needs to say. He doesn't need to say anything else. If he doesn't want to say anything else, stop trying to impress him.
Hang on.
Man,
whoa, calm down. Don't oppress my freedoms.
Take my freedoms, bro. So, yeah, so if you want to help out or you want to, get involved with the show...
Get amongst it.
Yeah, send us a message and, we can get your listener feedback and contribution on the show.
Yeah.
Seriously, send us a message and, you can take it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fun. You'll love it. You're like, wow, I can't believe I had so much fun at Wet n Wild, basically. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's going to be like Wet n Wild, but without the water.
Get wet, go wild.
Yeah.
My name's been Joe Lewis.
And I'm Anthony Bull.
You've been listening to Tales from the Twists. Have a good week. Stay twisty.